Wait. Yes. 6 o'clock.
Recording started.
Okay, right. Well, welcome everyone to this evening's Operations and Assets Committee, and I'd like to begin with public speakers. We have no public speakers. Nobody registered. Absolutely none. Okay, so in that case, we may as well start the meeting. Start with the apologies.
Thank you, Chair. Received apologies for Councillor Stainthorpe and Councillor Fernandez.
Right. Okay, do we have any declarations of interest?
Do I have to keep declaring that I'm a volunteer for Friends of Frenchwood Park? Do I have to keep doing that?
We can add it on to their.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because French Weir is coming up, so
Probably already listed, isn't it?
I can't
don't know if you're a
remember.
volunteer. So you're a trustee of the applicant.
Yeah, no, I'm just literally a helper
I don't think that's going to
with
be.
friends.
So no other declaration of interest. Okay, so item 3, the minutes of the last meeting, which I have here. Everyone a chance to read them. Yeah, comments or there's just something that I've got on well, it's page 36. Page numbers. We've got members of the public raised the following points. Concerns were raised that pedestrian routes would be used to move people in emergencies. Can you remind me what was that? What was that about? I would have thought pedestrian routes.
I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know.
I mean,
Was it in regards to the in French Weir with the bollards and getting emergency vehicles on there?
is that when we were discussing whether we're going to replace them with a gate? Because that was discussed during the meeting.
Really, so, yeah.
Was that the issue that they wanted to remind us that emergency vehicles in the gate might be problematic, even though it's been we're considering it? Yeah, that was about the one sentence I wasn't entirely sure what it was referring to. Or
I believe it may have
related to.
been to do with the weight of the retractable bollards.
So that was definitely raised, 17 kilograms.
And for if emergency services were to move them.
That were raised that pedestrian routes would be used to move people in emergencies, because I would have thought.
Well, they have to
They
get
have
into
to.
the park.
Yeah, you have to.
They need to get a vehicle in
Yeah.
to the exact location. That's a pedestrian, but all around the park is a pedestrian, but it's also a cyclist route. But we've always had access for emergency vehicles. So maybe just delete that, because I'm not sure that.
They're very much out of I think we need a bit more context for that.
Yeah.
So would you prefer if there's more context or if it's just removed from the minutes?
I don't think he's really adding anything.
But if it was something that was resolved, you can't take it out now.
Oh, well, this isn't resolved. This is just in the.
Is it in the
It's just in the transcription.
right? Okay, so if it's in the track, it's not
Yeah.
an actual decision
Yeah.
then. It
No,
can be,
no, it was just part of.
it can be removed then.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think it's lacking context. I think we've come to read that. I think.
Mhm.
Apart from that, I'm quite happy. Is there anything else? Yeah. So, I'll propose them. Would someone like to second them? You can't just point to someone. He wasn't there. Okay, right, all those in favour? Yeah, great. Then we have the result. I think we outside of the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a look at the forward plan. You also have to scroll through so much of the past plan to get to the next one. Right. So our next one will be can you remember meeting date? So the next one is going to be on the 30th of April. Seating and accessibility policy. got any idea on that? That's the doorbell. One head, one hat is that.
No, I believe there's another meeting going on, Chair, so I think it's.
Oh, okay. Okay, is there anything anyone wants to?
Oh, no, someone coming in. Oh,
Ah. It's another meeting. Yeah. So, right, so we've got those coming up on the 30th of April. Any comments? Ask anything? Anyone feel there's something missing? Okay, all right. We just note we don't have to.
If you want to resolve tonight, so you want to propose her in a second.
Okay, so can I have a, thank you, Caroline. Can I have a second? Second. After that, all those resolve that we have noted. Yeah. Right, oh, you are. Okay, so that's noted unanimously. Right. Okay, so well, on to tonight's full agenda. 2 items in particular, and I thought I might just swap them around and do the floral decorations first because that's just been noted, whereas the dog control reconsultation response might want their discussion. So looking at the floral decoration first, if we may, we have to note the updates provided in regards to the floral decorations and replacement tree planting for 26-27. And I believe this is Adrian, you wanted to?
It is, mate.
This?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. The floor
Yeah,
is
this, as Nick said, this is to provide you an update on our progress with the town centre planters and the open space planters. I don't know if you're aware that we've been trying to progress this project since September, having some difficulty getting it through Somerset Council with getting regards to permissions from them. We've purchased the planters, we've put the tender out for the plants, but it's been a bit trying to get it through. So we have finally got a response from Highways to my numerous emails. They've come back now with the report from their safety audit team, and that's just brought up a lot more issues again. So yeah, we've gone from trying to get these planters on, and now we've got to try and work through all these other issues that they've come up with. So I've contacted the Highways officer again this week to arrange another meeting with him to see if I can work through these issues, and he hasn't replied to me as yet, so I'm waiting on that. So we have got I suppose a fail safe. We can, if we don't get the permissions from county, we can place all the planters in our open spaces, if that's what councillors, if that's what members would want us to do, if we can't get the permissions in time, because there is going to be a time where we're not going to be able to put them in the town centre, because we'll need to plant them up in time by the end of winter to get them into the town centre. So we are working to a time scale here, and we are running out of time to get them in the town centre. So yeah, that's the update on that.
I was just thinking it might be worth just highlighting some of the things that have been requested recently.
Yeah, on the recent request, they've asked us to provide collision data for all the positions where we want the planters. So I want us to go back and provide for all the collisions that have happened around those areas. They want us to provide details of regarding design, so CDM regulations, that's construction design regulations. So that's for more if you're putting buildings up and that type of thing. They know they are just temporary planters, that they can be moved at any time. So it's a bit strange why they're wanting all this information. And this was never requested at the time when we put the safety audit request in. The document only asked us for very little information. I didn't ask for extensive information, so I never provided that extensive information to them, and the officer never wanted that information off me. So it's a real difficult one. And they've asked for a maintenance strategy, which will be an easy ask, so I can provide them that information. And yeah, it's mainly the CDM regs and the collision data, which we, yeah, for a project like this, you wouldn't normally be doing collision data, regulations and CDM regulations, that type of thing for that. So it's a bit onerous really for some floral planters in town.
Can you just remind us the locations of where you want to put?
So there's 10 locations within the town centre. They're all through the main thoroughfares, in high pedestrian footfalls. It's mainly where they were previously. There's some that have put them previously, which they've identified in the safety audit, saying that this is mainly within areas that had been previously as well.
So we're not choosing new locations.
There are a few new locations, but when previously discussing this with highways, they made us aware of where they would be willing to the planters to be put. So everywhere we've chosen, it's where they've said we could put them in the verbal conversations.
Collision data is with vehicles.
Yeah, so this would be we'd have to go. I should think we'd either have to contact county or police to get that information, to get that collision data, which it's not easily. And I think we looked on the website, on the police website, and the latest information they provide is from 2024, that data. So we can't even get up to date data from them.
So all the planters are going on the side, are they?
Yeah, on footpaths where there's obviously, it has to be on a wide enough footpath so you can get people with disabilities, push chairs, wheelchairs. It's got to be so they're not within visibility displays on crossings, that type of thing. So yeah, we've put them in all locations where they've requested we can.
Councillor Ellis, thank you. You've been very patient. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adrian, for persisting with this, because it's so important to our residents and to the whole feel of the town centre. It makes such a huge difference. The floral displays, just like, it's incredibly important, and I am so sorry for the hassle that you have had. It sounds to me like overzealous nonsense. It's not like this is a radical new scheme. We've had planters, and they've had planters in the town centre before. And this thing about the collision data, they've got the collision data. Why are they asking us for stuff that they, the same authority actually holds? So and I don't understand what, if the CDM thing, how big of a barrier that is. But I think definitely we should maybe, if you're not, I don't know, I'm just really worried that they drag their heels and mess about. And I think maybe we need a high level sort of prod at them, multi-pronged prod at them, just to say, excuse me, if you don't do this, you will be taken to the proverbial cleaners. Facebook, the work, saying, we are deeply disappointed that useless Somerset Council haven't enabled this to go forward, and it's all delayed now, or it's, but this is really important. So I think it needs escalating. I don't know whether that, letters from the clerk to the CEO and the leader saying, this might seem like a little thing, but if there's any delay in this, we just think that you're taking an overly heavy-handed approach here. We need to ensure that the path for this is smooth. It's so important for the whole, for Taunton's vitality as a town centre. If we can do that, and maybe also because I didn't realise they were messing about. So I'm one of the Somerset divisional members who part of the town centre comes under me, and there's a couple of others. So depending on what the location is, we can all prod now as well.
Yeah, which department are you working?
Sorry?
Which department are you dealing with?
Somerset Highways. Yeah, and yeah. So obviously, yeah, the town clerk has previously prodded at high levels, haven't you, regarding really early on?
I've already contacted, because we've had the issue that they wanted to then charge us a license to put planters of an extortion amount of money. So I had already gone to the directors of that area and said, this should not be happening. We've got actual legal powers that we could do this anyway. We've come to you, and he said that they would waive them or incorporate it. But yes, that's what we've been. It's been challenge after challenge when it should be something really simple. And the director had said, "We'll get it sorted. It's not going to be an issue." But yet we're still having the issues. And the last correspondence, I think you had copied in the director and say,
"We're still here
down the road, and we're still having a problem."
8 months later, and we're still going along, and still no further forward.
And was this the issue you brought to the LCN highways?
Yes, so yes, yes, the same issue that was brought to the LCN. Yeah,
they said they were going to go back to you. And then...
so they eventually did obviously get back to me, and this was last week. They finally replied with their audit, which is then put another notice.
I mean, they're temporary structures, aren't they? So
yeah, temporary structures.
At the end of the autumn, we take them away and store them back in. Is that
you can
or we?
You can move them whenever they want, whenever they request. We can move. And we've said this. There's no issues around that. Yeah. And I've also mentioned as well, which they've put into the mix as well. They said, well, we might need planning permission as well.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. So it's every step they put another hurdle in the way. And yeah, we just want to put some enhance the town centre.
So you've written to them. What else can we do to push this forward? I mean, we can write to highways as.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if ping me some of the emails that have gone back, just give me some words to say to them, and I'm very happy. Also, I'm sure the MP would as well. Yes, he would. I was going to ask, what was I going to ask? Oh yes, what about if we just say and do it anyway? It's like we do what we think is necessary, and then we just blow a big fat raspberry and go, what are you going to do about it then? Just do it, because we're not, you know, we have general power of competence. We're not hurting anybody. I don't think we could be breaking any legislation or regulatory anything, actually. You know, the things that I wouldn't care, but the things that they've done, whether it's open spaces and sometimes in the town centre, with they just give themselves permission to do whatever dodgy stuff they like. It's a real cheek. I'm absolutely incandescent. But I wanted to know is, you know, if they continue, as long as we're sure for ourselves that we are compliant with legislation, yada yada yada. We've told them we're doing it. They've been in that, and you know, they've had whatever management, how we're going to look after them, yada yada. Whatever we can provide, we've provided. I would be, unless we're going to get into sort of. I mean, also they break the law the whole time. They're massive lawbreakers.
I'm sure you didn't say that. So
in my opinion,
yes,
it's true. They lose 99% of their semi-tribunal. 99%. Can we do it anyway? Question.
I would suggest that we get the permissions before we.
Yes.
As a local authority, yes.
Councillor.
I agree with Karen 100%. Believe it or not, I'm not saying it.
But we won't make it.
Oops. I am concerned that their officers are taking too much of a big issue about these things, way over the top.
It is. I don't know.
You know, if they're close to, if it's very close to the curve, I can understand, but there's not close to the curve, are they? No. So there's no collision problem. That's the, you know, but yeah, I would get their permission first.
Well, there's always that case, isn't there, that you can apply for planning retrospectively.
Yeah, you can do that.
And if you don't get it, you have to move. But then by the time you haven't got it, it's probably time to move them anyway. So, not that I'm suggesting. So, but I mean, so planning permission is something that, you know, yes, if you have to get it, you have to get it, but it's something that can be done retrospectively. But it would be good Because I mean, otherwise we're back in this situation year after year after year, because I mean, we want to do this every year. So it'd be good to sort this out. Councillor Clement, welcome to tonight's committee.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to say the planters that they do have around the town, are stamped with 1991. That's how long they've been there. What is the problem?
Yeah. Yes, and as you said, we're not putting them in anywhere new. Oh, just a few.
Yeah, there are a few.
I'm trying to picture where they are. So it's down right by the market house.
Yeah, there's around the market there house, and then down East Street as well. There's some down there as well. Yeah, and along High Street as well. So yeah, there's a couple of streets we've thought we'd first try them out.
Yeah, and down North Street.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I mean, they look really nice. They will really brighten up the town. As you say, it's a fantastic idea to do. Councillor Tully.
Sorry, Chair, I just want to ask another silly question. Why are we not putting removable ones? Why not permanent positioning them? Because then they could be planted all the year round. I just don't understand the point of having to keep shifting them. And people like that, they know, especially down East Street, it brighten the place up.
That was the plan, but I'm saying we can move them if needed. So that they are only a temporary structure. They're classed as. Yeah, but yeah, we are planning to plant them all year round.
Yeah,
right.
It was originally meant to be the winter planters.
Yeah, they were going to be winter.
Struggling to get them as summer planters.
But once we've got them as some planters, would the move then be to keep them as winter planting?
Yeah.
Because that'd be great.
Yeah, and all that's part of the tender that we've already tendered that for the plants. Yeah.
Yes. Councillor Ellis.
Just for clarity, so the hanging baskets that we do, there's no issue with that, is it? We don't have to get, or are they raising issues about that as well?
Not yet.
Yeah, let's not go there.
But the ones we're hanging. Oh, hanging planters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that street furniture is owned by Somerset, is it? Because they are, I think.
Okay, so we're clearly going to have to knock on some more doors and just try and engage a bit more. So you've tried, Adrian's tried,
Marcus has tried.
and you've been at the LCN where, to be honest, they were very receptive.
They were, and
I couldn't see what the problem was.
the LCN have emailed Marcus this week to say, have you an update? So I've just provided them the update saying, yeah, they've come back with some more hurdles for us to jump over. So that will go through to the next LCN meeting. It's as though, like, yeah, you involve someone higher up the chain and then you get a reply and then it tails off, and then months later you still go nowhere.
Have we contacted any other town councils that put in? Let's see.
that's what we need to. Can I, Chair?
Yes. Councillor.
Maybe he ought to want to have a look at St Albans or one or two of the other Hertfordshire towns that plant, and Oxford can do it. Other towns do it, and it's ridiculous.
There's plenty within Somerset who do them. I've done them in numerous local authorities within Somerset, and I've never had this issue ever.
But they did them back in 1991.
Yeah, never.
Okay, we need to now, because you mentioned earlier that we haven't got to resolve this. We've got planters that we need to go and put elsewhere. So going back to the forward plan, is April too late?
Still plant.
Our next meeting is April 30th, and I think we should bring this back just in case we have to resolve.
To put them somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is that enough time for you?
Yeah.
It's April the 30th that you can still get them out. I assume they have to go into our part of that.
Yeah, so we're going to put 10 out in our open spaces as part of this. So yeah, that's all we do. We just double up. Into those open spaces.
Or can we give delegated authority now? You had an amendment.
Yeah, you can do. But you're not resolving anything.
No,
You're
just-
noting it.
Yeah, so we would have to.
Bring it back to the next council meeting.
So April the 30th will be giving plenty of time.
That's getting into May.
Yeah, it's on the
It's
cusp.
very late.
It's on the cusp.
We do have provisions to call emergency meetings. I suggest
Yeah.
we use
Yeah.
those as and when, and I'll be very happy to attend that whenever it is.
Yeah. Could it go to community place, which is on the 22nd of April?
It's under this committee, so you have to bring it. Yeah.
Too late.
You can just call an extraordinary meeting next.
Yeah, if you feel April the 30th will be too late,
Yeah.
you can resolve then and you can
Yeah,
get on May the 1st.
well, hopefully they'll engage.
Yeah.
I've said to the highways officer to contact me before tomorrow. He hasn't yet. So I'll chase again tomorrow, and hopefully he'll engage either tomorrow or early next week to try and work through these other issues. And I'll keep everyone in the loop.
And, Councillor Ellis as the divisional member. Or where they're.
I would certainly be poking my oar in. Also, Office of Gideon Amos at parliament.uk marked urgent. That'll need to come from someone at the council.
And, yeah, okay. So we can do that. Keep it factual. Yeah, okay, so we'll do that. And who else? Yeah, where's the boundary? Is it? Which other?
It depending on where they're going, it might all be mine.
East Street.
Oh no, East Street's not mine.
No, I
It's
think
that's Victoria, isn't it? That'll be Toosey and Richard.
No, I'm thinking county.
Oh, county. Oh, that's Simon and Fed. Is it? I can't
Simon.
remember.
I think it's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Or possibly Councillor Fransley.
It's just saying, Fred, some of these kinds of issues, even if it's not her community's portfolio, although it kind of interlinks, sometimes as long as she knows that she's kind of prime, she could go and I want to say kick butt, but I wouldn't dare say that in a council meeting. She could sort of bang a few heads together. Oh no, I can't say that either. She could maybe also prod. So if she's aware of it, I'm sure she will. I'm sure. Yeah.
So okay. So that's something we can do. There's the county, and we can ask Federica Smith Roberts, because I think county division extends to East Street. Not it's Councillor Smith, Councillor Smith. Yeah. Okay, so just to send supportive letters, really. Yeah. I mean, that's all we can do. We can't do anything else, but we can raise the issue and copy in some of the lead members. I think we'll do that. Right. Okay. So we are noting this. What point did you walk into this discussion? The firm in
Probably halfway.
Yeah, it won't be.
Yeah.
Can't vote on it.
So proposing?
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
The other bit is the trees, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Trees. Do you want to say something about? You want to say something about that?
Just give an update on the tree planting, the replacement tree planting for this season. So we've now purchased all the trees, 60 odd trees, and all sundries, and we will be starting that next Monday, starting going throughout the parks with the list I've provided. We'll go there, and hopefully by the end of next week, all our replacement trees will be in all our parks, ready to go for this year. So, yeah, really exciting times. Our first year of doing this. It's going really well.
And it's good to see the 3-for-1.
Yeah.
Policy coming to place. Can I just ask, how many trees were actually, you say 20 trees were vandalised, disease and drought, but how many were actually vandalised?
That's
Off the top of my head, probably less than half a dozen. So yeah, we had a lot of the
6, that's still quiet.
yeah, we had a lot of the urban tree fund ones vandalised. A lot of those were in
And we have to replace those, don't we?
yeah, and that a lot of those were in Hamilton. But yeah, so not a lot of our own were vandalised. Yeah, they were most mostly the drought from last season
Right.
that affected them.
Councillor Ellis?
Yeah, this is obviously great, you know, 3 for 1. This should be every council's policy. Somerset Council, that used to be their policy. Anyway, so yeah, this is really great. I think there's 2 sort of comms jobs that need doing on this. One is just giving advance notice to where you've, especially when you've got a friends group, explaining we're going to be planting X and they're going to go here, and explain a little bit about them. So I think I will ages ago, because I remember Jordan saying ages ago in French we're going to do the black poplar, and I'm sure I sent stuff around, you know, with whatever she'd given me, but I think people need reminding. So that they have advanced, so we're going to be doing this. So that's partly just and showing them where they're going in case there's any issue with that. And then the other bit of comms that needs doing then as well is, you know, really highlighting when we're planting them, do little reels, you know, make a big thing of it on social media. I think that's really important, because it's such a positive thing, but it also, and you can get across messages about, you know, why these trees are so important, and if you see anybody damaging them, you know, this is what you do, you know, just to give people a sense of these are our trees, these are for you, for everybody. So yeah, to do the planet and everything. So just to do a really good communications job on it. So obviously that's the question of you know, you're linking up with the comms people, isn't it?
Will they be planted in the same way that the Urban Tree Challenge
Yes.
Fund with a metal?
Yeah,
Great.
that's a grazing around the edge to obviously
Yeah.
prevent as much damage as we can.
And once we've replaced the Urban Tree Challenge funds, are they still added to the UTCS watering schedule?
We'll be watering our ones ourselves.
So the UTCF ones that we're having to replace, we're also having to take on the watering of that as well. Okay, so we must make sure.
Yeah,
That's the thing that really kills the trees, isn't it? The
Yeah.
lack of watering, right?
That'll be for minimum of 3 years. That will.
But we have to water it.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Any other comments on this? Have I missed anything?
Just one, sorry. I'll pick this thing up. You're putting in Hamilton, some wild cherry.
Yeah.
Could that be not near the children's play areas?
No.
Because they tend, it gets very slippery.
With the blossom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Other comments about the trees going in? I'm not very good with my trees. I like trees. But I'm not very good at spotting what type of tree they are. So looking at Taunton Green. They're all going around the edges, are they?
Yeah, we'll try and do our best to fit them in the areas, and obviously keep the centre areas free for football and kickabouts and the families to run about. Yeah, there are obviously a lot of restrictions where we can plant them because of the football pitches and the baseball and all.
Yes, because that's one of the things. So these are 20 trees that either died or vandalised, but I guess they were quite uniquely spaced. Is there actually room to put an extra 3 trees?
No.
There is.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay, right. Well, not me. I'd like to propose that we've noted this. Thank you, Councillor Ellis. That's the second there. All those to show that we have noted this. We have noted unanimously. Lovely. Thank you very much. Right. You can hear from the next report, Adrian.
I'm off.
Right.
Right. So while Adrian makes us exit stage right, our next item, the pre-consultation before Somerset Council's consultation on the Public Spaces Protection Order. We're now looking at areas within Taunton that we would like to add to the Somerset Council consultation. It's all about controlling and how dogs can operate within our parks, what freedoms they have within our parks. Goes without saying that we expect every dog owner to pick up after themselves. Sorry, the dog.
As themselves.
I knew I was going to say that. I knew he took up that dog. But what further restrictions do we want? So the proposals here is that we have mandatory lead areas in French Weir and Victoria, but those are open to discuss, to see what we want to do. Is there anything else we want to add to this, or anything else we want to take away? Any other thoughts that we might want to have on this, which we will then submit to Somerset Council over the summer, will then launch their wider consultation. This is all about uniformity across the council. And I'm assuming that this then gets reviewed, this one thing just gets reviewed every 3 years. They have to review it every 3 years, do they? Yeah. Right, so to introduce this, we have our very new appointee. You haven't met before. This is Graham.
Hi.
And Graham Cox, and joined us. Oh, when did you join us?
A month ago now.
A month ago. So, and Graham is looking after our open spaces, and we have another chap called Hugh who's looking after our assets. Graham's here.
Operations, Graham's operations.
Graham's operations, not open spaces.
Operations.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, we're operations and assets, but I see operations like open spaces.
Open spaces included. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So welcome, Graham. If you're not too nervous.
No, not at all.
And over to you to just introduce your thoughts and present the report.
Super. So yeah, so Miss explained it pretty well really to get us going. So
It doesn't let you off the hook, eh?
the Somerset want to consolidate at the moment because there are all sorts of different public space protection orders across the county, so they want to consolidate it. The two types that they're proposing is obviously a dog fouling and dogs on lead by direction. So that would be where dogs are allowed off lead, but can be called to be brought under control on a lead. And then a full dog exclusion zone in areas such as completely fenced off, sort of under 5 children's play areas. There's a list of that in the report of those areas. And then specific areas to consider is French Weir is obviously already under dogs on leads PSPO, and then it's whether to consider Victoria as another destination park to be put under the same guidance.
Councillor Eggers, would you like to start the ball rolling?
Yeah, so French Weir doesn't have any PSPO about doggies at the moment. It's just the bylaw, I think.
Yeah.
1954.
This is the 1954 bylaw, which is about as useless as my leftover tea bags are going to be, or a chocolate teapot, because it's woolly. So it says about dogs, there's no clear rules about dogs. It just says they must be kept under close control. You can interpret that in various different ways, but there's no enforcement of it. You'd have to take somebody to court to enforce it, and they'd end up with a fine of £5 or something if you were set. It's just not enforceable, and it's not clear. So what you've had is a situation where some members of the community, well, especially the Friends group, have said, please put, posters up saying keep your dogs on leads. And then they've been taken down because people know damn well that they're not enforceable. So you've got this ridiculous situation where, it's just untenable. So it's really important that we sort the French Weir situation out now that it is contested. It is a contested issue, right? There are, and I don't know where the balance is. I think the balance is probably more leaning towards the safety concerns and the wanting dogs on leads, but there are different views in the community about this. People who just feel, there's enough restrictions as it is. Why can't my doggy, go catch his ball in French Weir as well as in long run? I mean, in long run, that's the big area where, you can more sort of, not safely, but safely let your dog off the lead without, worrying too much. But in French Weir, certainly at busy times when kids are coming out of school and when weekends and whatever, there's a lot of people about. There have been a lot of incidences, dog on dog biting people, all sorts, and it's kind of increased obviously since lockdown when the world and his mother got a doggo. So yeah, French weir is contested. So I'm in favour of us saying, please put French weir in the mix for the dogs on leads, because not to lay down the law, but to enable there to be an actual democratic process for deciding on this. So everybody gets to have their say. It'll be a public consultation, won't it? And that way it can be resolved one way or the other as to what the rule should be. Okay, so I think that's all we would be saying. We want it included because we want this issue resolved, because French weir is a hotspot for dog nonsense. You know, lots of lovely doggos and lots of very responsible dog owners, but there's a few that spoil it for the rest of us. And you know, there've been just one too many instances of people getting harmed or people just feeling scared as well, which is not nice. So yeah, I'm in favour of us, you know, obviously saying that French weir should be in the consultation for the dogs on leads, because we're not then it's up to Joe Public, right? Then it goes out to consultation. We see how that comes out, and then we have a resolution, and then it can, you know, and that should hopefully resolve it. Because at the moment, one lot arguing this, one lot arguing that. The rules aren't clear. There's no enforcement anyway, so it's too much of a mishmash. And I don't think, and there's the current doggy PSPO for Somerset West area, as it was, doesn't include any areas in Taunton at all.
No.
So Vivery, similarly, I believe, I mean, I had a look on the website, I don't know, it needs checking out, but Vivery is their problem anyway, because it's their park. So I'm assuming they'll put Vivery. I'm sure that's what he said at the briefing as well.
Yeah.
Vivery would be in the mix, because it's more established in Vivery. In Vivery Park, people have kind of imbibed for eons that you don't let your doggy off in Vivery, but French weir has been way more blurry and it needs resolving, and then everyone can all views can be aired and heard, and then we can come to a resolution as long as it's in the consultation. But if it's not in the consultation, then we're a bit, you know, bit stuffed really, and it will just like kind of go on and on.
So I believe there are actual PSPOs around the county. I think Taunton was left off because we were unparished. That's probably why. But Vivery was always controlled by big park. I don't know if it's always controlled by the county or whether it's under the district. But I have a feeling Vivery, Taunton was left off because we were an unparished area. So there is about consistency across the county, which helps them when they come to review them, and often they're just doing one set. So yeah, it's interesting actually reading the report, the fact that actually a lot of this has come from the incident in French weir, those 4 dogs, and that unfortunate incident with that person who's knocked over and injured quite badly, I think, quite badly. So yeah, I can see why it's coming in. It is a difficult one, this one, because there are a lot of dog owners out there, and we are trying to come up with rules that really probably don't apply to 99%, because 99% of people keep control of their dogs. I think we do need to recognise that. So we've got French weir. Are we happy that we would include French weir as mandatory on leads? Councillor,
I don't know whether we've inherited from Stapleford Grove Parish Council about Stapleford Grove Rec, because I know they have signs saying dogs on leads or no dogs running around on the fence for that, but I don't know how enforceable that is, so I don't know if it needs to be included in with this order.
You can include it within this, because it's going to be.
It's one of our parts, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'd like to propose the amendment to include Stapleford Grove Rec as part of this order.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about Stapleford Grove Rec earlier actually, because it's actually an enclosed park, and the dog can't actually get into it on its own accord.
True.
So it's like, because a lot of these children's play areas, they're all fenced up. The dog cannot get in there on his own. It can jump over the fence, I suppose.
Although they can go through the sheep's gate, the sort of
on its own, a dog on its own.
Well, they might be able to either go under it or through like the gaps,
Yeah.
but not the swing one, the one that nearer the church where it's like the farmer's gate.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I don't think a dog could, but it's not very secure. It's not one of those that just opens. Actually, it's,
no, yeah.
it's I think it must have shrunk over the years. I'm sure it was supposed to catch on either side.
Yeah.
So yes, I was thinking about Stable Grove because it is an enclosed area. That's right. So at the moment, I don't know what the old parish thought. So you thought the old parish had dogs on leads?
Well, that they had signs up, you know, specifically saying about that.
Okay, so it might be worth then honouring that and
Yeah.
keeping that. Councillor Tully.
That's good. Does everybody's gathering college here, definitely having their own park. My park as well, at Hamilton. I think that's not going to work. We've got to be stronger and say, if it's all dogs on all parks in the town, and that makes no mistake, then people don't say, I thought it was all right to put dogs off lead here. If everything's the same, I think if you start dividing into different areas, I could say the same at Hamilton, but it's not going to work.
I mean, I think the difference is we have the signs up that will clearly say which parks you can and can't. So I think the signage, because I mean, I don't know, you can't have dogs running around any of our parks.
It's dangerous.
But I mean, it's one of the joys of having a dog. You can run free, throw it a ring. You know, we won't be able to do that. Send that to all our parks. In Hawthorne Park, I thought was an ideal dog walking park. So I'm not sure we can just have a blanket on all of us. Oh, sorry, you had your hand up.
Right, yeah, proposal's been made by Councillor Furman, but as it's still being debated,
Yes,
it's fine.
yes. I'm hoping you're keeping your notes. You'll read them back at the end because I think there's a lot to discuss. I thought the last one was going to be short. The last item was going to be short. So you think? I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the residents of Stable Grove say as well when it comes to it. So, but if they're used to that sort of thing, I think we should perhaps go with the historical. Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, I'd be a bit wary about doing it. Let's just chuck all the parks in, just because, yeah, okay, we can speak about our patches tonight and we've got a good sense of them, but there's, and especially where there's like a community group, you know, that's been formed, and there's, you know, they've got a Facebook group and there's very specific debate, discussion over a long period of time relating to specific location. But if we were to do that just across the board and put it, you know, just say bung them all in, we might be missing nuances. The classic thing of one size doesn't fit all, and there's a uniformity has it. The one thing that we will be getting uniformity on, as I understand it, there's a one plank of the dog PSPO will say that wherever, if your dog, you know, it's an offence for your dog to whatever, and that can be enforced if you don't pick up. And also that if there is, so say in another park that doesn't have a dogs on leads thing, the rule about if your dog is dangerously out of control, somebody would have the power to say, right, well, you need to put your doggy on a lead. So there is that sort of fallback thing. That's my understanding, that just applies to all public.
First half, isn't it? First half.
The other thing
you've got to pick up after your dog. You've got to, and if someone comes along and tells you you have to put your dog on the lead, you have to put your dog on the lead. But they would only do that if they felt your dog was being out of control.
Not if there was one of those orders in place. If it says that you've.
Oh yeah, no. I think we were just referring. I think Karen was just asking if we had a park where you were allowed to run your dog, someone could still come along and tell you to put it on the lead, because that is part of the first order. Councillor Essing.
Yeah, no, just to point out, there are always exclusions for disabled people who have dogs when they do the PSPO, is my understanding as well, just to kind of ensure that we've noted that. So if you've got an assistance dog, obviously if there's an exclusion, you should be able to take. It's the same thing for, you know, restaurants, you know, no dogs normally, but assistance dogs, yes, because that's about inclusion and it's about compliance with the principles of equality legislation.
So before we just carry on, so one of the recommendations about dog exclusion zones in children's play areas, and we're talking about literally the fenced off areas. So are we all happy with that? Are there any discussions with that, or are we can keep that one there? So yes, any children's play area within a park that is a dog. A dog could not get in there of its own accord unless it's large, you can jump. But otherwise, it's so we are happy with that. We seem to be happy with Frenchway Park. We've added Staple Road, you're keeping track of this. So, so I mean, do we want to go through park by park? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Councillor Tully?
Yes, Chair, I agree with that. But it's not only a council's responsibility, it's a health and safety for children's play areas. They have to, that is a serious one.
Yeah, so I think, well, yeah, we agree. The other issue is the older children's play areas, which aren't fenced off. But what do we think? Should dogs be on lead? If you're going to sit in a older children's play area, that dog should be put there. I mean, like some of our parks are sand pits. We really do need to keep dogs out of our sand pits.
Can I ask a question, Chair? And I'm not sure the answer to this, but if a dog bites a child, the responsibility, I think, comes back onto us because we are responsible for the park. We are saying the child is safe in that park. And I'd like to find the answer out about that. Are we responsible?
We would have to refer to legal. My assumption would be it's always down to the owner. That's my gut feeling.
Can we check on that? Because I'm not sure.
I'm just looking at 3.5 within the report saying it's important to note that enforcement powers will remain solely with Somerset Council. So,
Right. So you think it might be Somerset Council?
possibly, yeah.
Oh, but so yes, but I do think it's the responsibility of the dog is down to the owner. So the other, I mean, one of the other issues is our sports pitches. Do know that in Galvington, people who hire out our sports pitch do complain that they have to pick up dog feces before they can play, and that's not on. I mean, we are renting out these sports pitches. So if we're renting them out, well, we haven't got capacity to keep going and checking them around before we rent them out, have we?
Yeah, but if it's on a Sunday afternoon,
Yeah.
we haven't got a staff
No.
member there that can
So
go. out and-
it's a
Yeah.
difficult one. So it's whether we don't let dogs run sports pitches or just, but then if they do deposit on our sports fields, actually most schools don't have dogs on sports fields at all, do they? For that very issue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so
is that something we can add that actually we wouldn't want dogs to run free on our sports fields? What is that?
Tricky.
Yeah, Catherine.
It is tricky, and I think we'd have to like go area by area, talk to the ward member, or in some cases,
Yes.
and because they will have a better sense of, you know, what is the feeling on the ground. I mean, yes, even if we bung them all in the consultation, they still get consulted on, so it's not like we've decided. However, that might still get some people's backs up because people are very. People have strong feelings about this issue, and say like, I mean, okay, the other area I mainly spend time in is your Taunton Green. So like when we play tennis every Friday, we've got, I'm choosing now, there's a lot of dog walkers around, and of course it's not being used as a playing field at that time. I've never seen any issues actually up at Taunton Green. Doggies come and say hello to the kids, and it's all really nice. But it's a big area. It's not enclosed, and I'm just like, there's an awful lot of people who walk their dogs there, and I don't know what they think about.
No.
I don't know how that would go down. I know in French where we know there's a very the opinion is divided. It's divided. It just needs.
In French Weir, you've got long run.
You've got long next door. Yeah, you've got long. They can go and run there.
Run your dog anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there are other bits of, round the corner, because my dog, when I took him up there, and he ended up running a riot amok all over. Yes, I'll forget about that. North Taunton, then this was Taunton Green. He just picked it off. But yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Ideally, because all of the divisional members should have been on there was a briefing, which I actually managed to get to. As a Somerset councillor before the parishes got briefed. I'm trying to remember who the divisional. I can't remember if I was the only one. I got the distinct thing from that meeting that you have to get in quick if you want something included in the consultation. And I remember mentioning French Weir, but I can't remember if anybody else mentioned any specific Taunton thing. So if anyone is minded to just bung the whole lot in something about whatever, I think that ought to be subject to, I don't know if we've got time, checking in with the ward member, because I'm very uncomfortable doing stuff that relates to other people's patches when either they're not here or they may be in disagreement or they may not be comfortable with it. I wouldn't dream of doing that.
I do know that Councillor Fernandez was here. She'll be mentioning about the dog poo on the sports pitches at Gamington. So I think she would like a resolution to that. Hawthorne, that comes under so the needs and councillors. Hamilton's yours. We've dealt Stairford Grove. We're doing French Weir. I mean, for Taunton Weir, Greenway Weir, I think it would be unpopular at Dogs on Leeds. Except I would like us, I mean, with this PCPH, they put up signs saying dogs, so we would say dogs on Leeds in the closed area. Can we have signs saying dogs on Leeds in Sandpit? Or not in Sandpit, down on Sandpit. Dogs on Leeds around the, around the older children player. So keep your dog out of the sand pits. Can we have signs of that? Are those enforceable?
I don't know how you're dividing it up there with the children's play areas. They've got fences around, so it's quite clear.
I know that's the issue of the older children. I mean, so a lot of older children sometimes, as the families go with the children and the dogs, because families own dogs. A dog is a wonderful addition to a family.
I think what you need to decide is what ones you want to put in for the consultation. So you've already got French Weir Park on here. There was a proposal to add Staple Grove on there.
Yeah. We've got Victoria, so let's
Victoria is deciding which ones you want to put into the consultation, and that is a decision that you're going to have to make.
I mean, with Victoria Park, I think most of the children's areas fenced off, though, isn't it? Including the toddlers, so even the older children's. Yeah. So that would just comply anyway. I was thinking of all the residents around Victoria Park who probably like to run their dogs. Struggling to see how we can exclude the fields in Victoria Park because it's such a high residential area. An obvious place first thing in the morning to go and walk your dog. And if the children's whole area is completely fenced off, including the older and the younger bit, then that's all dealt with, isn't it? It's enclosed. I'm not sure about Victoria, but it is on the recommendations. It's to discuss.
I think that's because it was, looked at a destination park, yes. So the same as what you've got French Weir Park, and you'd have obviously the Library, which isn't ours, but why it was on the list.
We'll go for Eden and Cabo.
Yeah, I think it would be good to exclude Victoria from that, as you say, because most of the play area is sectioned off into one bit, and then the rest is just the empty fields. So, I'd be happy to do that.
So allow dogs off lead in the sports area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the play area is already naturally excluded.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just to say that Victoria Park definitely has a friends group, and I don't know if they've made any
Yeah.
representations ever in the past about dogs and their views on.
Well,
I don't know if they've got signs up. I don't know any of the background to that. I'd be very, again, I'm just wary of treading on the toes of specific communities where, as you say, Nick, in certain places, there might be a very big body of opinion that says dogs on loads, and other places it's like, no, we do not want this. And how do we don't know. I don't have that
you think
data.
you're a resident in those streets and you own a dog, you know, got Victoria Park right on your doorstep, and you need to walk it first thing in the morning or last thing at night or during the day, you know, you've got to, where do you go from there? But walking around the street, I can see it might be a problem. However, I mean, mentioning the Friends of Victoria Park or the Friends of any park or community groups, of course, they all get their chance to consult, they all get their chance to have their say in the consultation of the summer. So whatever we decide, if they say, oh, no, I don't agree with the town council on this, I think Victoria Park should be totally dogs on leads, then they've got that opportunity. And I take it Somerset Council come back to us and say there was a disagreement between residents and yourself. Take it they will do that,
I
won't they?
would give you the results for
Yeah. So we could make that say, you know, the play park is already dealt with. The fields, the body of residents there, which probably was probably a high percentage of dog owners who rely on the fields, the playing fields in Victoria to exercise their dog, throw a wing or ball, and then give the Friends of Victoria Park, they got their opportunity to have a say in the summer, haven't they?
It's tricky because French Way, as you said before, we've got long run. So I completely understand a dog cannot just be walked around on a lead. They need to actually be able to run and play with other dogs. It's the key part of their socialization and everything, and they'll just get mental if they don't.
French Way is a lot smaller than
Yeah,
dog.
so French Way, you know, I can see if that's what people, you know, that's the result of the consultation that they want. Majority wants dogs on leads there. At least there's also, well, you can just go and run around like a nutter in long run. But if you live the other side of town,
Yeah.
you'd have to like literally go and book a fee in one of these new dog park fields and do that. I just like, I don't know.
Do you know what the last thing we want is dog owners getting in their car to take them to Netherclay to run them around there, because now we're adding car journeys. That might not comply with our climate policy there.
That's true.
Councillor Tubb.
I'm reading this correctly. Somerset Council have the final say on all the parks, and that they are also going to enforce them.
Yeah.
Not us. They will enforce what needs on or doesn't need, which gives me very, well, sorry, but I don't have much faith in what they do. We heard that tonight. No, I'm sorry, I really think that's right. They've got
Yes,
no.
I thought in the Somerset Council, the enforcement will be down to them. I don't think the final decisions.
Well, up to the consultation, it sounds as if it is that they will have the consultation in and then decide what they're going to do. And I reckon they'll blanket it, the whole of Somerset to be the same. Sorry, Chair, it says that all local bylaws.
So can you give which paragraph?
I'm reading 15 on the main. This between two different areas.
Ah. Yes, sorry, I don't. Do you know which paragraph you're referring to on the?
It's not within our report, it's the Somerset Council.
It's a Somerset Council one, and if you read their report, it's what they're saying basically, that
Yes, I'm trying.
They will pull it, they will enforce, will remain in with Somerset Council and not the parish or town councils.
But these were anticipated to take many months to complete. I still can't see the paragraph you're referring to. That Somerset Council would have the final decision.
But it's not on the information sheet.
Yeah.
It's on the consolidation and consultation document.
The
FAQs.
was, yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, it says, so you're referring to the enforcement will remain with Somerset Council.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's enforcement, not decision. That's how I read it. Do you have a view on that, Tom? It's just it's referring to 15. So Councillor S.
Logic would dictate that. So, you know, normally we do a consultation. Well, here is all very, it comes back to committees and yada yada. I'm not even sure. So Somerset say they do the consultation. It's either somebody then has to decide what to do off the back of it. So they will look at the consultation responses. I don't know, and I hold my hands up, I probably should know this. I don't know whether that's something that goes to executive because it's about a PSPO, so that then that's, you know, at least that's public meeting, people can go and ask questions, it's all in public, but it's, you know, the way Somerset Council was, I don't think it would be a full council thing. Maybe it would be executive, or maybe it would be a delegated decision. But what you'd expect is for them to do it have a rational response to the consultation. So if it was like 80-20, we want dogs on leads in French Weir, and then they didn't pursue that, that would be like, excuse me, that's probably even JR territory then, isn't it? So you'd expect them to take hopefully a rational response of post the consultation, and not do something where there's clearly a big majority. It was like the car park, Sunday car parking thing that thank God that got bumped on the head, because there was such a like 90% saying no. So they'd be in a lot of trouble legally if they went against what people were saying.
I think the answer to your question, that is that enforcement remains.
Yeah, with some not making the decision, it's the enforcement that
Enforcement, not the decision.
Mm.
So I think so I'm getting that we are probably not going to include Victoria Park as mandatory on leads, because the play area is already cordoned off, and if there are any gaps, we can quickly go and fill them. So that deals with that, and let the friends of Victoria Park have their say when it comes to the consultation. They're usually quite good there. This agenda has been published from the last week. They're usually quite good at coming along an issue like this.
Just to be clear, so there's the two things. One is if we're not, if we don't say we want X parking included, it won't be included. But that's for the doggies on leads and exclusions. We can at least say to people, if somebody said, well, why wasn't my parking included? Well, we have never had, we can just say, well, who's ever told us that you wanted this, you know?
Yes. Well,
but that you will still, we can still go back to them and say, well, there will be, the situation will change, because now there'll be a clear rule about you cannot, you know, there'll be at least some potential for enforcement around people, you know, letting their dogs poo on the ground. And there is the ability to tackle problem dogs. Yeah. So it's not like we're,
and thinking about it, actually, if the PSPO now is, you know, you must pick up after your dog, and if we have an issue with Garrington Park, you know, the teams keep saying, oh, we're always having to pick up dogs, pick up dog excrement. Surely we can report that as a council and say, can you please go and monitor And we can direct the enforcement officers to our parks and say, I think just need to go and check a bit more often.
And like you say, that first PSPO includes the dogs on lead by direction. So it would,
Yeah.
for so problem dogs, it would give
Yeah.
you that at least.
I mean, I think the problem is how many enforcement officers they're going to have going around the county. Yeah, councillor.
Yeah, can I suggest it's, the consultation is open to parishes and members. So can I suggest that we as a council reply to it, but every councillor does it as well?
Well, yes.
Because then they know what they're talking about in their own area.
I think for the 20th, it's literally for parishes and town councils. And then after that, everybody. But yes, we can all get to have another say as members of the public. Summer. Councillor.
Yeah, my understanding, and I got this wrong, is that you can't, once the consultation has started, I don't think, I might be wrong, but somebody can correct me, but I don't think it's possible during the consultation to say, oh, well, we want the dogs on leads thing extended to X park. I'm not sure about that. I think it would have to be
No, I think
in the thing. I don't know.
this process is about us telling Somerset Council, when you do your consultation, we want this park as mandatory on lead. We want children's play areas excluded, or dogs excluded from children's play areas, or any excluded from any fenced off play area. That's probably covers everything else. We want French wear, dogs on leads, mandatory. We want staple growth. And then when they do their consultation, they will say, oh, in Taunton, this is what the town council has recommended. What do you think? And then people can say, oh, I'm not sure about staple growth park. Or, yes, I agree. So I think that's, we're just giving Somerset Council the data for their consultation. Yes.
Sorry, this is like, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure that I'm saying dogs should be on leads in French. I'm not sure that I'm saying that. I just want it consulted on, so there's at least a mechanism for deciding it once and for all.
Okay.
That's what my position. So I'm not. I normally no. I have very strong views. Normally, very, very strong views about just about everything. And there's some things I just think, do you know what? I'd rather just people have it out amongst themselves on this and see what comes.
So basically, in principle, we think dogs should be on leads in French wear, given the issues that I've had in the past, and then you've got long run. Right,
it's an issue that it should go into the consultation because of this issue, but it has to be determined by people.
So as a town council, we're wanting to put the option of French wear.
Yeah.
And then it's up to the public.
Then it is up to the public. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got French wear and staple grove at the moment. Is there any others? Do you want Victoria Park to go in for consultation? Do you want any of the others to go in for consultation?
Well, they're all going for consultation. It's whether we are going to recommend that Victoria Park is mandatory on leads.
Yeah.
And I don't think we are, personally. An unofficial vote on that.
Don't feel happy ruling about somebody else's part.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're happy to keep staple growth and French wear, as we would like these consulted as mandatory dogs on lead. We're happy to put into the consultation that we want all fenced off or enclosed play areas. We want dogs excluded from all closed off play areas. And I think that's about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except do we need to discuss Goodlands Gardens?
There isn't anything on here for Goodlands Gardens, but if you want that dogs on leads.
What do we think?
Interesting. Have we ever had a problem with dogs in Goodlands Gardens? I haven't ever heard of people complaining about dog poo there.
I mean, I guess it's how close it is to a main road, or how easily they could get into the bus station or out into Castle Green if someone's not totally in control. I mean, it has no play area, so it is really for people to just go and sit and enjoy themselves and just have a cup of coffee and a picnic without some dog coming up and joining in with the picnic.
Well, yeah, as I say, I don't think I've ever seen there being a problem with people
No,
bringing dogs.
I
in. So I don't think
Garden isn't a place you could exercise your dog.
they're too small.
Yeah.
This area. I'd say don't bother including it.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
I'm now wishing I posted in Friends of Good Little Dogs. But I just preoccupied French minute, get that sorted. I mean, it's not, yeah, I think people expect to have, you know, it's not like, no, I don't think anyone would freak out about it. So you could include it, but it's not technically, although I'm admin Friends of Goodland Gardens, I'm not it's across the river,
Okay.
so it's not my patch.
Is this a declaration of interest?
Not my patch.
Not your patch. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, maybe the people who are not here, well, okay, there's a small committee and there's only
Yeah.
4 of us here. Our fellow councillors, if they feel strongly, you know, if like they'll turn around and say, well, why didn't you include Galmington, or why didn't you
We have
include?
full council on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
part of my brief, I can just say,
Yeah.
we've discussed this, but obviously we don't have to submit till the 20th, do we?
No, but you won't be, the full council agenda has gone out, so you can't make an agreement at that meeting.
No, it's just an announcement if you've got any views. Well,
Then you'd
well,
have
you
to
can't,
call,
but
you'd have to call
yeah,
another
yeah,
meeting,
we'll have to call
so
another meeting.
you need to decide.
I don't know if it's enough for, like, say a different member, or say after this meeting I get hundreds of people email me say something about something else, or somebody else gets an email. If members, individual councillors, whether they're Taunton Town councillors or Somerset councillors, can message the consultation email, because we're in pre-consultation is what we're at. Okay, so Taunton Town Council might not have recommended something, but they could still poke their oar in. I poked my oar in at the earliest
We'll
time.
be able to take the views in for this consultation, as we've got to vote on what we want to put forward. However, they're more than welcome to put in all their views in the summer, and Somerset Council do their consultation. I have to say, we're here because people in French Weir complained about those 4 dogs. Nobody's complained about dogs in Goodland's Gardens or any other park. So I think we're pretty on safe ground just to ignore it. I just thought I'd raise it because it is another area, it's another open space. I mean, to be honest, I don't think I would ever let my dog off the lead in Goodland's Gardens, because just jump in the river, or, you know, the bridge goes back, it can run off into the Trenchard Way, or, you know, it can run off into Castle Green. There are too many exits from Goodland's Gardens, and actually people just go there to sit and enjoy themselves. So I hope people will just respect it. I hope we wouldn't have to. I don't know whether, and of course, these do come up for review every 3 years now, won't they? Yeah, if we do finally start having an issue. Other areas I thought I was going to. Children's Wood, who owns that?
Which one?
Somerset.
Somerset. So will they be consulting on that area as well?
Well,
I don't know if they're going to the
And
Canal and
then
River Trust.
If it's a public area, anywhere in Taunton, that will come under the, assuming this goes ahead, a bit about the, you know, no doggy pooing,
Yeah.
pick up after your dog, and the, you know, you might be asked to put your dog on a lead if your dog is, you know, munching, taking chunks out of people. That will apply.
And of course, the last areas in my patch, of course, we have that strip of green that runs beside Quantock Road, full of dog walkers, but it's not a park.
No.
It's no children's play area, and it's just a green open space, and I would not want to deny. Now, I go running down there, there's sweets, and there's always, this is a good dog walking patch, and I think.
Is that with the little strip? Is a little strip?
It's got a little
Yeah, I know,
strip,
yeah.
And you can cut through into.
Yeah, it's.
So, you know, as I run down there, I'm always seeing people walking their dogs, and they're always off leads. Sometimes they try and chase me. gonna have to speed up when I run. Yes, I think it would be unpopular as an open space making that. So I think we need that. So it's just a very good dog walking space, that one, to be honest. So children don't play in it. There's no park, there's no play swings or anything. So spaces like that, I'd be happy just to keep off consultation, or just keep as a dog friendly. So in the end, what have we got then, Ollie?
French Weir Park and then Staple Grove Rec is the two.
Yeah.
In the mandatory leads.
And any play area that's fenced off, dogs
Yes.
excluded from any play area.
That's all of the ones in 1 to 10 on the
Yes.
list. So
And
as it-
Victoria Park's there, yeah.
Well, yeah, Victoria Pub, but that's not going to be mandatory. So do you, obviously you had a proposal to add Staple Grove
Yes,
to,
and
you
take, so mandatory, so we need a proposal to take off Victoria Park.
well, but you've already had a proposal from Ed to add Staple Grove on. So do you want to,
I was hoping to do them both together.
unless he changes, amends his proposal to
Oh.
take that one off?
I will amend my proposal to include Staple Grove in the mandatory leads and take off Victoria Park, except for the mandatory leads.
You both are second that. All those in favour? That's carried. Okay, so could you please, just for clarity, and we've got plenty of time.
So
Does take that one.
the mandatory lead areas owned by TTC, which will go into the consultation, is French Weir Park and Staple Grove. The dog exclusion zones with the enclosed children's area will be Comertrove Park, French Weir Park, Galmanton Park, Greenway Rec, Hawthorne Park, Lingford Park, Priorswood Park, Penniesfield, Taunton Green and Victoria Park, and that's all of the children play areas.
Yes. With notices saying dogs to keep dogs out.
Dog
Sundays.
exclusion, is it? No, it won't say
Well,
that.
well, I'll put-
Dog
Dog
exclusion zones in the children's
Yes.
play areas.
Yeah.
That's what it will be.
Right, proposer? Ooh.
Can I ask one question?
Oh, right, yes, I wasn't sure whether you're proposing or.
No, I will propose, but I have one question. Hamilton Park, the children area is not fully enclosed.
Right.
Now, I still say that should be because of dogs failing in that area.
Okay.
They should have control. Hamilton Park's not on your list.
It's got to meet a qualifying
Yeah.
criteria, which I am assuming the qualifying criteria it's got to
Enclosed area.
staff area, which is why it wouldn't be on this list.
Okay. And does it have a toddlers under 5 area?
No. We,
Having said that, it might well do in the year.
we try and get it enclosed.
Okay, well, that's something. Yeah. Put that forward as a board member scheme. Okay. Yeah, do that.
Okay.
Right, so,
We'll propose it.
okay, Edward, you have a second.
Yep.
All those in favour with the recommendations? Thank you very much. Well done, folks. I think it was a good discussion. I say we do have good discussion. Especially that.
Meeting concluded at 19:24.
Lovely.